This is the Administration and Public Works Committee. This is a rather special meeting to clean up some work that we were not able to accomplish last meeting because we did not have a quorum, but we do tonight. So first item on our agenda is Resolution 18R18. This was not before us previously. It is Good to Go Jamaican Cuisine, a request for financial assistance, and Paul Zelmazak is here. It's a presentation regarding an economic development business attraction amount of money, $25,000 assistance. Paul.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. I'm Paul Zelmazak, the Economic Development Manager. Before you this evening is a request from Ms. Levy, Mr. and Mrs. Levy of Good to Go for a $25,000 loan. I'm going to invite the Levies to the podium in a second. The Levies have done a considerable job of building a new restaurant on Howard Street. It's quite a sight to see if you haven't seen it yet. And they've run into some challenges in terms of budget, and they are seeking basically kind of an emergency infusion of capital as they wrap up construction and get ready to open the business. They have requested $25,000 to fund additional equipment purchases to get the restaurant going. And I'm going to invite them, if you allow them to do that, to answer any questions you have.
Yes.
And I'll back you up as it relates to the loan terms and things like that. As a quick summary, the loan is designed to kind of mirror the CDBG loan they requested last year. So this would be a 10-year term, 1 year without payment because of their cash flow issues we anticipate in year 1. And then they begin making payments year 2 through 10. Combined with the CDBG loan, their total loan payment would be in the range of $450, and we believe that they have the cash flow capacity to handle that loan. But I would invite Ms. Levy and Mr. Levy to the microphone.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, everyone.
Tony and Lenise Levy.
Yes. Any questions? Hi.
Hello.
Go ahead.
So what do you want? What do you want to know?
Do you want to make a presentation about?
Oh, sure. I'm sorry. Just a little bit nervous. So as you know, we've been in business for 16 years on the Chicago side, and we were fortunate to find a property that fitted our needs. We moved into it. We did a total renovation, almost to the tune of $1 million. We were very successful in securing funding, and we have done everything that we possibly can to get it up to this point, and we're right there. We're expecting to open in 3 weeks. We have a space big enough to accommodate events. We've actually already secured two events about 2 weeks ago, but I was able to actually secure additional events. So right now we have 4 events secured. One is actually planned the week after we open. So we're very excited about the revenue potential that this new space is going to generate. Very confident that we're going to do extremely well. We have a great track record with the existing restaurant, and there's no reason why this one won't do triple times that, because we have a much better space and much more opportunity and different revenue streams. So right now we're at a point where we just need some additional equipment and furniture. And that's what we're asking, is to increase the budget, the loan amount from the original 25 to 50. We plan on paying it back. We're not asking for complimentary money, but we're just asking for an increase in the loan.
And one of the things you pointed out in the paperwork that we got in our packet was that there were some overages in your budget.
Yes.
That you probably would have had this money, but some, like things happen.
Yes, absolutely.
And we call those change orders when city does business.
Yes, there were some significant change orders that we incurred with the roofing and some structural things with pouring foundation, different things like that, that you wouldn't know until you started to, get engaged in the construction. So a big portion of it was the roofing, because we were taking one building and making two buildings and then joining them together and making them cohesive. So the roofing structure was a very, very difficult part of it, and so that's one big aspect of why the budget was off just slightly. Not anything to our doing or our negligence, is just a part of the process. And even though we did have a contingency, the increase was that significant that it kind of used up a big portion of the contingency funds.
On behalf of the Levies, I want to argue in their behalf, of course. They not only live in the 8th Ward, but they've purchased a building that is going to contribute tax dollars 100% to the increment, because they purchased a building that was a church, that was completely off the tax rolls. So the minute it goes on the tax rolls, every single penny of those taxes will go into the increment, which we need very desperately. So would you speed it up and get it on the tax rolls? And so we can do some other work for some other business. And also, the church did not have a liquor license, and so we're looking forward to that. And it's just going to be a great thing. And if you have not driven by, make sure you're very careful when you drive by, because you could conceivably have an accident, because you're not going to believe what you're seeing. This place looks like it's in some other town. It is so beautiful. It's every time I go by, it's more beautiful than the last time.
Thank you.
So stop improving it, because nobody's going to give you any more money, because it just looks too beautiful. Anyway, so we really do need a motion for this amount of money. $25,000 loan. It's a 10-year loan.
Yes.
And really, hopefully you'll do well, and we'll really see a lot of activity. The theater is now under construction. I saw some ladders up there, and really looking forward to your doing well.
Yes.
So, anybody like to make a motion? Okay.
Move approval for $25,000 loan to Good to Go Jamaican Cuisine LLC for action.
Second? All those in favor of?
I have a
recommend-
question.
Pardon me?
My light's on. Is it working?
Oh,
down there?
I'm sorry.
That's okay. I didn't know if it was working down
Yes,
there.
I'm sorry. So I'm seconding it.
All right, I have a question.
Alderman Fleming?
And so you alluded to this, but the interior build out that was over budget, is that just some of those structural things, or were they like design changes?
No, structural.
Okay.
Everything was structural.
And then the I don't know, maybe this Alderman Rainey, you probably know this. The storefront modernization, did they fall under the new requirements or the old storefront? Did they fall under the 100% or the 50-50?
50.
The 50-50? Okay.
I remember
So you
that.
knew that. Okay, those are my questions. Thank you.
Lenise, what did you say?
50.
50%.
Yes, that's what I remember in my paperwork.
All righty. Alderman Suffredin, you have any questions?
No.
Okay. All right, and this was a privately owned property that they purchased outright. We were not involved. We did not own the building. So it was not any involvement by the city. And it was a private loan, SBA loan. We weren't involved in that at all. All right, all those in favor of recommending this $25,000 loan to the city council, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Okay, so it's 3-1 to the council. Thank you very much. You're welcome to stay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And council will start immediately after this. I don't have an exact time, but immediately after the meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Okay? All right, next item is ordinance 33018, amending the city code, section 346, by creating the new Class F2 liquor license. The Liquor Commissioner and staff recommend City Council adopt this ordinance, which is a license for retail liquor dealer, gourmet food, and amenity store. It's been returned here because of so many different reasons. We didn't have a quorum, et cetera, et cetera. It was held over from the March 19, 2018 meeting. If you have reviewed your packet, which I know you have, you've seen there have been a few minor changes, but basically the reason this has been returned, and this really has to do with the request from Binny's to deal with the license. We have no other operation such as Binny's in our town. And so that is why this license has been recommended by the Liquor Commissioner, our mayor, and the Liquor Commission. The issue of the licensing fee has been discussed with me by Alderman Nguyen and others, that since this is such a unique operation, it really is more space for the sale of liquor than any of the other locations. And the most expensive license is a $40,000 license with maybe a $41,000. I'm not quite sure, but and a $13,000 renewal. And it's been recommended to me and other members of the committee that the license be, to be fair, really, to be $45,000 with a renewal of $15,000. And so I'm going to make a motion that we discuss those two amendments. So I move those amendments.
So I can second them. I also have a question.
Alderman Fleming.
So and I talked to Teresa earlier about the liquor license. The Evanston First Liquor, does somebody tell me what they pay? Does anyone know? I'm sorry, I didn't ask this earlier.
Yeah, I have the thing right here.
I mean, I have this list that we were sent, and it says package store is $75,000. I assume that's Evanston First. They're the only ones we have in town,
I
right?
have it right here. Let's see.
So my question, as we're looking for that, is that I was trying to figure out, as Benny's is going to be comparable to them, kind of what they pay per square footage, if we could figure that out. Or if, I mean, I know Benny's is a bigger store, right, but they're comparable to Evanston First, and so if we're thinking of charging Benny's more because they are a larger store, then I want to make sure Evanston First is comparable, even though they are a smaller store, but that their liquor license pricing is comparable.
Where did I put that?
And that's maybe a separate discussion, but I would be interested to see what the pricing looks like.
I have the link to them someplace. I just, because I knew you were going to ask that question. And I have it right here. Anybody in the audience, any of our crack staff here? Anybody else have any?
I have the liquor license fee that was sent out earlier today, but it just doesn't.
They're much smaller.
They're much smaller, I know.
Alderman
But
Fleming, they're much smaller even than Whole Foods and others. So Whole Foods and is paying the, they're paying the $40,000.
Whole Foods is. All right, so can you explain to me one more time? So Benny's, we think, should pay $45 because they are only selling liquor and they're large.
And, well, they're
Versus-
selling some food. They're selling some food. If you could just wait a second. Wait, please, come up. That's why you're here, to bail us out.
I did know at one point what Alderman Fleming, what
I have it right.
Evanston First pays, but I don't have it right off
I
the.
have it right.
And
But I do, but I think the issue here, and we heard this, I had a public meeting about this issue, about Binny's coming to the former Whole Food space. And and in a lot of the emails that I've received, one of the key issues that people have brought up is fairness, in terms of fairness across the board towards all of our other stores that sell alcohol. And so I think one of the key aspects of this would be that Binny's, which is going to be a very good store there at that location, is 20,000 square feet, which is far and away the largest amount of square footage that we have of any store selling alcohol in the city. And then, as Alderman Rainey said, the next nearest one is the Whole Foods on Green Bay Road, which also includes the ability to buy wine by the glass, I believe, and or beer by the glass. And so they pay either $40,000 or $41,000 a year. So in the interest of making sure that we are being fair towards all of our alcohol sales purveyors, it's my belief that we should have a higher initial fee for Binny's, because it is selling 20,000 square feet of alcohol, and then a renewal that's higher than the other competitors that they have, because we have heard that concern expressed by a number of alcohol purveyors.
Okay, which I understand, but that I think brings me back to, and again, this will be a different conversation, I think, but because Evanston First Liquors only serves packaged goods, right?
Right, that's correct. They're
I would
very
want to
similar.
make sure, and obviously we're not going to charge them a new initial fee because they're there, but I would want to make sure if we're charging Binny's more because they only sell liquor compared to, in fairness, compared to other, the Whole Foods and such, that we
Right.
need to maybe.
I don't know how large Evanston First
I know.
Liquors
I'm just.
but
This is my
it can't
train of
possibly
thought.
be more
I
than
understand
10,000
that.
square feet.
I understand that. But
Yeah.
if I find out and break it down per square foot, I think they should be comparable. Is what I'm saying. I wouldn't charge them the same because they're not as big, but I think it should be comparable because they're comparable stores. That's just my
Right.
thought.
And I asked staff this question several weeks ago to figure out what the square footage is. I think a critical element of that is I don't know that we calculated that when we have calculated the fee for grocery stores, when we permitted them to start selling alcohol.
We did.
Did we?
Over 12,000 square feet
Is
grocery store. That was the beginning of.
right. No,
basing the-
but I think, Alderman Rainey, you're correct in that sense, but a grocery store had to be larger than 12,000 square feet. But my point is, to you, Alderman Fleming, is we did not break it down to the best of my understanding, and I was on the council when we determined that grocery stores could sell alcohol, and then therefore they would be licensed. I don't remember any discussion where we calculated what the square footage was of Evanston First and then extrapolated a liquor licensing fee for the Jewel on Howard Street, the Jewel on Chicago Avenue, the Dominic's that used to be at Dempster
Right,
Drive.
but I'm not speaking of those necessarily because they're grocery stores. I'm speaking
But
of.
I think we'll run into, if we start doing, this is just me postulating, but I think we'll run into a problem if, I'd like to see what the numbers show,
Here it is.
but I think we may run into a problem where if we're calculating by square footage to some extent. I mean, there's no question that Binny's will be at 20,000 square feet. It's larger than any of the other facilities by quite a bit. And so, I did know at one point how much Evanston First pays, and I'm sure the staff will figure it out. Oh, how
Can you
much?
tell me what it is?
25,000 to start, 4,100 a year.
Yeah.
But we don't know the square footage.
No.
So it's $25,000. Okay. Yeah.
And 4,000 a year?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Now, if someone had their GIS up and they could look at the store from a GIS perspective, that would be helpful. So,
All right, so anyway, so that is my thought, is that
Yeah. No,
I'm not
it's
necessarily opposed
legitimate.
to Binny's paying 5,000 more, but just comparing them to like stores, which in Evanston is Evanston First Liquor, I would like us to think per square footage maybe, because they're comparable stores, and just to say we're going to charge one $5,000 more because they're bigger is not a horrible argument, but we should just make sure if we're talking about fairness that we're looking at comparable stores and they it's like we couldn't charge Whole Foods, some gargantuan amount of money and charge Jewel's cheaper. I mean, they're comparable stores, so we have to have, I would like us to have some kind of base for these decisions,
Okay.
is what I'm saying.
All right. If someone can do the calculation very quickly, because we do need to move this tonight.
The point is with the grocery stores, they have a certain amount of square footage for liquor. Binny's is going to be all liquor and a little food here and there.
Right, which is why I'm not talking about the grocery. Again, my argument, which I'll carry on to another night when I have staff do the numbers, is about Evanston first, because they're comparable to Benny, so I want to make sure they're paying their fair share.
If I'm hearing you right, you want to reconsider the basis for the way we calculate all the liquor licenses for food stores and liquor stores.
Well, for liquor stores, not for food stores.
You need to make a reference to that effect. Okay.
but I thought maybe we had these numbers available, so
I'd be voting against that. I mean, that's going to, okay, all right. You're an alderman, you may do that, okay? But are you going to do that right? Could you wait till call of the wards?
I will do that later.
Okay, do that and call the wards, okay? All right. All right, because this is a whole separate deal. We don't have anything quite like this, so. All right, so did anybody second my
Yes.
my amendment?
Alderman Fleming did.
Oh, you did. Thank you, Alderman Fleming. All right.
Tell me again, I'm sorry, what?
The two amendments are the first time amendment. The first time license fee is $45,000, and the second is the renewal, $15,000. And that's the only change in the license, other than the marked copy of the ordinance, which is just very simple, it's just changing a little wording. So I move that as an amendment. Could I have a second? That's
Can
all
you
I'm
second
looking
that?
for.
Yeah, she seconded.
You seconded, okay. I thought you were considering not to. All right. All right, any more discussion on that? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Okay, it's a tie. I'm going to move that to the council. And, all right, so let's vote on the full ordinance. All those in favor of what?
I just got off the phone with Evanston First Liquors. They say they're 5,500 square feet.
All right, and they're very special, because if you notice their name, it is very definitive. They were the first liquor store in the city of Evanston. They were treated very special. So, all right, we're going to move this ordinance. I have talked to Binny's, and they have been really delayed here. So I have told them that I'm going to move introduction, suspension of the rules, and hopefully the council will support that. So all those in favor of moving introduction and suspension of the rules for action tonight, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There. Thank you very much. Next item is Ordinance 31018, amending the City Code, Section 346, by creating the new Class X liquor license. This is for the sale of beer and wine for on-site consumption, and it has to do with, it's being called like the arts and crafts liquor license, for specifically for businesses that want to do creative activities with, in this case, they're doing plaques, et cetera. And it's very limited use, limiting the number of drinks and very limited hours. And the controversy, it's for action. The controversy has come to us, and it's back here because we did not have a quorum at our last meeting, so we held it. that the people who have presented the need for this to us are concerned because they do not want to have food because of all the chemicals and stuff, and they're using shellac and whatever, and crumbs, and they never realized they had to have food. Nobody has food with this. So they're limited to hours till like 9 o'clock on one set of hours and 10 o'clock on the other, and nobody in all the franchises that exist have food, and they just want to have a couple of beers and a wine, and they're limited to 3 drinks. And they don't want to have food. And I'm thinking, could we have a discussion on, could we just eliminate the need for food here in this one license? And is there any reason from our city attorney why they have to have food?
I can
Would you
answer
like your
that.
plaque to have crumbs. Yes.
Alderman Rainey, Alex Mackey, Assistant City Attorney. All of our liquor licenses require some sort of food, and we've been speaking to Board and Brush, who was applying for this license, and we came to a bit of a compromise of a cheese plate with crackers. And from my understanding, they're on board with that.
Okay, but my understanding was the problem was at the health department level where they would have to have a type 2 food license.
That's no longer my understanding because I think they're going to have packaged foods. So
They
it would
won't be
cheap.
required to have the 3 sinks.
Correct.
Well, I mean, that's what I
Well-
was going to suggest, have packaged food.
Yes,
and
yeah. So
maybe
that's
potato
the
chips.
compromise, and I believe
Okay.
the ordinance has been updated to reflect that.
All right, so does the ordinance have to say, how does the ordinance have to read then?
I believe the updates were in there, and it specifies cheese and crackers.
Cheese and crackers,
Yeah.
okay, just cheese and crackers, okay. All right, so as it reads in here is okay.
Yes.
That's correct.
Shannon, you're okay with that?
Yeah, we just, no.
You have to come up here. Would you come up here and say what it?
So we're one of 136 franchises across the U.S., and everybody serves packaged food. So we do have, chips and nuts and things like that we can have available and for sale or just give away. We're fine doing cheese and, crackers. We just can't, within our build out and within the license from the franchise, we can't put in a kitchen or a 3-compartment sink. We just need a hand washing sink and our packaged goods. Okay.
All right, so would somebody like to make a motion to approve this?
I move approval.
Okay,
Second.
all right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I have a
Right.
question.
Pardon me?
Is my light not working down there?
You know what, your light is working, but my laptop is covering the
Oh,
light.
okay. Well, can I ask my question, or is it too late since they voted? I can ask my question at council.
What?
I can ask my question at council since you already called.
No,
the
you
vote.
can ask your question now.
So would this be a new, city attorney, are we making a new license, or are we just amending the license, this class license for this business?
It's a brand-new license.
It's a brand-new license, so anyone who gets a Class X then can serve packaged food? Correct, okay, that was my question.
It's a brand-new license for arts and crafts. I'm sure we're going to hear from Jane Grover for a knitting license. All right, so this is going to council. Do we have items for discussion? No. All right, the council meeting will begin at 10 to 7.